I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And that, I believe I could have run behind you.
Martin, I can remember when we came to summer and you were playing fullback up there, and I saw you in the weight room and watched you work out in the weight room. If you were strong enough to pick up the whole weight room. I wanted to fix it, and our running back coach didn't take the test. Biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports, Tide 100.9, and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good. And welcome into the Martin Houston Show, powered by MaX Sports. The Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama Sports. Your show, your team. The playbook for today is Bama versus LSU. Keys to victory. The college football playoff initial playoff rankings. Take a little look inside the playbook. I want to see more or less of that. We'll talk about that. We'll have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week with Scotty Hollins to wrap things up. We can talk about those things and more, and we invite you to jump in on the conversation at 205-342-9904. That's the Alabama One hotline. Once again, that's 205-342-9904. And you can always bring in your thoughts, your comments, your reactions, your questions in the live stream chat, so you can join us over there. Follow and like and share and be a part of the program in that way. And as we move throughout the program, we'd love for you to be a part of it. If you're looking for how do you find where we're on the video chat, you just go to the Martin Houston 35 and Martin Houston fan page 35 on Facebook. There's a couple places. You can also look up just Martin Houston 35 on YouTube and Twitter. Also X's and O Sports, amongst others. Lots of ways to get to us. Also, you have that Tide 109 app that you can download, and all of those allow you to interact with us and add your comments and your thoughts to the program. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. And once again, the Alabama One hotline is open for business, 205-342-9904, as well as the live stream chat is open for business comments, reactions, and questions. We got several different topics that we can get to there. Once again, we'll take today and tomorrow to hit all of these. We won't get to all of them today. And you may even want to rehash something that maybe we even talked about earlier in the week. So you're definitely welcome to do that. But on the docket, on the playbook today, the scripted plays, sometimes you get off script, how you come out the gate. Alabama struggled with that, but we're going to come out the gate strong. Bama and LSU's keys to victory. We can dig a little deeper on that. The college football playoffs initial rankings came out last night. Love to get your thoughts there. Inside the playbook is any plays that we see or we want to see. And then I want to see more or less of that. I went back and looked at the LSU game. Some of the highlights from last year, and I got a couple plays I'm going to bring out that I want to see less of. I did not realize, X, that we left at least 10 points on the board because we turned the ball over in their territory, in scoring range. And I also had forgot about the Bill O'Brien red zone effect. So we'll talk about those things as well. But anything just jump out at you that you want to hit on before I start driving the conversation?
Yeah, I mean, I think the college football playoffs is going to be the hot topic for the day. And not really surprised with where Alabama landed. Number 8, you knew we were probably going to be behind Texas and Oregon just due to Texas having the head-to-head win and Oregon's only loss being to the team that's right in front of them in Washington. But I think the biggest shocker, and we talked about it a little bit last night, is the Ohio State being the number 1 overall team in the college football playoffs, and they say it's due to resume. But to me, that resume isn't that impressive when you really break down and look at it. But it is what it is, and even more shocking, Michigan being number 3. Well, in my opinion, neither team has really played much competition at this point. So there's that.
Yeah, when you look at it, you kind of can ask yourself how much of that has to do with sometimes I still don't trust the committee. All right. Never trusted them, still don't trust them. And to me, this sets up if Ohio State wins out, the question was asked, will Georgia still overtake them? And that's the question I don't know. But going through the rest of the regular season, Georgia has, if I'm not mistaken, they have Ole Miss, they have Missouri this week, Ole Miss, and I can't remember who the third team. And then they have like Georgia Tech, in Tennessee. In Tennessee, that's right.
Yeah.
Possibly their toughest 3 games. So that's Missouri, Ole Miss, Tennessee. Some people saying if they win those 3 games going into Georgia Tech week, they'll be the number 1 team in the country. I don't know that because you got Ohio State that they jumped them because they beat Notre Dame and Penn State. Then that would be another big win. All of those teams would be ranked higher than who Georgia beat. Could you really have a team with 29 straight wins not be the number 1 team in the country coming off of 2 back-to-backs? They'd have 2 back-to-backs. And I know it's supposed to be season to season, but that is season to season, meaning if Georgia wins out, Xavier, they will be 45-1.
Right.
Let that sink in.
No,
And
I mean,
tell me that somebody's better than them?
that's what makes the decision interesting to me. But I think they could jump them because when you look at the total number of wins against top competition in a 4-game stretch of ranked opponents, and unless there's more bumps in the road for those 3 teams, they're going to be decently ranked, and Ole Miss will be a top 10 team.
Yeah, Ole Miss is sitting at number 10. Maybe the surprise of the night to me is the fact that Ole Miss, they did leapfrog Ole Miss over Penn State, who only lost to the number 1 team in the country. Kind of an interesting. So one side of my conspiracy theory says they dropped Georgia to number 2, so Alabama would be playing a number 2 team versus the number 1 team if they make it. So that's my conspiracy theory. But the other side of that is they potentially gave Ole Miss more love for playing in the SEC and only losing to Alabama than they did Penn State playing and losing to Ohio State, which is the number 1 team in the country. So what are your thoughts there?
It's it doesn't make sense at the end of the day with the way that they're doing it, and it's probably more of a, as you said, it hurts Alabama because what happens now is if Ohio State wins out, they'll probably stay number 1. if Ohio State loses to Michigan and Georgia still wins out, Michigan's number one. So either way, it puts Georgia in a position where there's really no chance of them being the number one team unless Michigan loses to Penn State and then beats.
So you think Michigan would leapfrog Georgia even if Georgia were to win out against these next three teams?
I think they would do it just because Ohio State would be the number one team and Michigan's at number 3. Normally, if you see a number 3 team that's undefeated beat a number 1 team, that number 3 team is going to get the leapfrog.
Well, but Georgia, I guess Georgia ultimately, though, if Georgia wins out and Alabama is that opponent in the SEC championship game, Georgia will be the number 1 team. I think. You see what I'm saying? Like I get that, but I think that last week, if Georgia were to win that game and would go to 30 straight victories, 46-1, they haven't lost a regular season game since
3 years.
Since the Florida game 3 years ago, which is crazy. But the other side that does give you hope, X, real quick, when you look at it, and we'll wrap up. We'll talk on the other side, is the fact that they set a precedent that a team could be leapfrogged by someone they beat. So undoubtedly, this committee has respect for Alabama because they gave Ole Miss a lot of credit for beating Alabama. I mean, losing to Alabama because and they beat LSU. So you kind of look at those two. They gave Florida State a lot of love for beating LSU. Now Alabama has that chance to beat them this weekend, but they did put Oklahoma 2 spots behind Texas, a team that they beat. So you have to think that's because of the road win against Alabama. So there's precedent that Alabama is respected in some sense, both winning and losing. And they also have leapfrog. So it's possible that Alabama wins out. They could leapfrog Texas, even if Texas wins out. There's a couple other quick things I want to hit you on the other side that we'll talk about regarding a few people in front and what needs to happen for Alabama to get into that top 5 spot. Alabama needs to be sitting at number 5 going into the college football playoffs. Into the SEC championship game. We'll talk about it right here on your home for Alabama sports. We'd love to get your thoughts, your comments, your suggestions, your interaction. 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on this first day of November. It's Wednesday. Do drive carefully. And, of course, if you see conditions, give me a call. 205-886-8886. A brand new month means brand new deals and tremendous instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Foreigner, live in Tuscaloosa. Foreigner is back on their historic farewell tour. This Tuesday night, the Tuscaloosa Amphitheater. Foreigner. Special guest, Loverboy. Reserve seats on sale now at Ticketmaster.com. Part of the Coca-Cola Concert Series, produced by Red Mountain Entertainment.
Join Tide 100.9 this Friday from 12 to 2 for Fridays at the Free. Come see Lars Anderson and Matt Coulter for Big Noon Sports live at Innisfree Irish Pub, Tuscaloosa's best bar for 25 years and counting. Innisfree's Irish Pub has delicious pub food with an Irish flair. Come have the Innisfree Lucky Lunch, a delicious meat and 3, while Lars and Matt get you ready for the Bama game this weekend. Fridays at the Free, every Friday during football season with Tide 100.9 and Innisfree Irish Pub, located at 1925 University Boulevard, downtown Tuscaloosa.
Take a moment and think of one thing that you really wanted to do recently. but you didn't because your foot, leg, or back pain got in the way. Hi, it's Dan from the Good Feet store, and that's why we're here, to help you get back out there. Good Feet arch supports from the Good Feet store. They're designed to alleviate foot, knee, hip, and back pain, plus provide improved balance, more comfort, and, well, a better life. Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting at the Good Feet store.
Visit us at 1800 McFarland Boulevard or goodfeet.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Sunny and cool today. Tuscaloosa's high in the middle 50s, around 54. Another freeze likely tonight, fair with a low at 32. For tomorrow and Friday, sunny both days with a warming trend. The high tomorrow is 61, the high Friday 67. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 35 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
We're live and got things rolling, talking to college football playoffs. The initial rankings, Blind Squirrel Sports says the 1-2 ranking with Ohio State and Georgia is more about keeping one SEC school, minimizing it so that you only have one SEC school in. We'll see. We're going to see what does Alabama need to do to get up to what needs to happen for them to get up to that number 5 spot. And how they're going to make all this work. But before we get to that, we got Robert, who's been patiently waiting. Robert from Mobile, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, guys.
Hey, now.
How you doing?
Hey, guys. It seems it doesn't this season just make you so totally believe that, hey, this expanded playoff is what, 3 years a little late?
Yes.
The way college football is going?
Yes.
It's
at least 2 years late because last year, we were sitting just outside. And this year, I don't care who it is. If Alabama wins out, if Alabama wins out and loses, and wins out, then Georgia or Alabama 1 is going to be left out. And
then the scenario still exists both to be left out.
Right, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is it's possible that we could beat Georgia, knock them out, and then not get in.
Yeah, the way it's lined up this season is there is no if they understand this playoff, this season would show there's no incentive for you to schedule a tough out of conference opponent to give college football fans something to watch that we want to watch. Out of conference, because there's been no reward for Alabama for doing that. It's only been punishment. Right. And meanwhile, everybody who didn't do that are being rewarded mightily.
Every team, Robert, watch this. Every team in the top 10 would have the same record as Michigan if they played Michigan's schedule.
Exactly.
Not one of those teams would have lost to the schedule that Michigan has played.
And Alabama wouldn't have lost with Ohio State schedule. Because I'm sorry, well, like we say that, this Alabama today. I'm not so sure about Alabama beginning of the season. But who knows? But yeah, there's no incentive to play. Now there is, because because it doesn't kill you, but when the new playoff system comes, but its old system, it was just always garbage, including in the SEC structure of the conference divisions was always garbage. Those conference divisions gave Georgia been giving Georgia nothing but an easy path to the SEC championship game, and Alabama has to go the tougher route. And this cost Alabama at least, I know, one championship for certain. But after that kicks in, we would have slaughtered Auburn and beat Florida State. Yep. So yeah, it's the structure. I mean, this was so ridiculous. The structure of college football and the SEC.
Watch this. What do they do? X and I talked about this last night. What do they do? Let's say USC beats Washington, and Oregon is sitting behind them at number 6. What do they do? What they're going to do with Washington? With Oregon sitting behind them. They may not change it.
If they're sitting Oregon up to get in, they beat Washington. The way it's set up now.
That's what I'm saying. So it's very possible that Washington could lose and they just flip Oregon and Washington.
And we're having to hope Texas lose twice. The way it's going now.
So
because Texas beat Oklahoma, how are they going to put Alabama in over Oklahoma, Texas? So now they're not even in the division. We got to hope they lose.
We need one of them to drop another regular season game to feel safe.
Yeah.
And then whoever loses the regular season game lose the Big 12 championship.
Yeah, that's what we're stuck with now because we dared to play a good out-of-conference opponent because that's good for college football, while the ones who don't do that, they screw college football, what fans want to see. We want to get in this playoff. All right, we'll reward you
Robert,
for that.
let me throw something else in there. Why did they make now think about this. They dropped Oklahoma from Georgia's schedule. You know, Georgia was supposed to play Oklahoma this year, and they replaced it with Chattanooga or one of those other games. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that. Yeah, but that's what Alabama should have done.
Well, the SEC made them drop it because it was the front end of a home and home instead of and so they said, oh, since Oklahoma's coming in next year, let's just cancel that game. But Alabama, you keep yours because it's the second part of a home and home. So I think almost every one of these teams in front of Texas would have lost to Texas in week 2. Ohio State's gotten better. Georgia's gotten better. Michigan has gotten better. Florida State's gotten better. And Washington and Oregon, I think they would lose to Texas anyway. I think Texas defense.
And the old system just didn't account for teams catching fire like in Alabama, especially now with name, image, and likeness and NIL, spreading some of the wealth around as far as talent goes. So you can get this team that starts out struggling but gets high at the end of the year, like it does in the NFL all the time. Many years we've seen our Steelers do that, and it rewards you for getting it together now. So college football, college in general, has always been really slow with good positive change. It's just mind-boggling.
I will say this week we have a chance that Texas and Oklahoma could lose. Oklahoma's playing Oklahoma State, and Texas is playing Kansas State. So it still might work out.
But with that, watch this though. Otis.
We've seen it happen before.
Robert, here, Otis. Otis Hill has more confidence than I do. He said, "We getting in if we win out because it will be the biggest win of the season for anybody." In the words of Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. If they set this up to get 2 Big Ten teams in, Michigan beats Ohio State in a close one. How far do you think Ohio State's going to fall?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
How far?
You're going to have a lot of one-loss teams and then a conference championship. I don't think anybody without conference champion one-loss.
But Ohio State loses. Ohio State loses to Michigan. Michigan goes to 1 or 2. Okay. So Michigan would, and very possible, as Xavier said, they'll leapfrog them. Okay. So they go to number 1. Georgia still sits at number 2. Biggest win of the season is Michigan. If it's a close game, Ohio State now falls to 4. Right. And now they're sitting at number 4 because they only lost to Michigan, who would now be the number 1 team in the country. So that's going to be the best loss of the year. And Florida State still sitting there undefeated. Washington possibly undefeated. I'm telling you guys, this is a hard road, even if Alabama wins out, because you need something else to happen. Alabama winning out on its own will not get them in my opinion, because stuff has to happen in front for Alabama to get up there. Alabama has to be sitting at number 5 when they play Georgia. They have to be, and Georgia has to win out. Georgia has to win out, and Alabama has to be sitting at number 5. So for that to happen, you need Washington to lose. You need Oregon to possibly lose again. And you need Texas to possibly lose. And all of that is possible. Whew.
Well, the ACC is the thing, and Florida State is the thing. A one-loss ACC conference champion, I can see getting left out because of the ACC, the perception of the ACC. Speaking of which, I'm on the camp of, I didn't appreciate what Dabo Swinney said the other day. You know how coaches are. Yeah, that caller he talked to was obnoxious. He said some dumb stuff. But you know how coaches are when they go on these rants. Those rants are rarely ever at the person they're talking to. And they are meant for a broader audience when they go on these rants. And it sounded like he was going after fans who didn't appreciate what they were getting right now. Why should they appreciate what they're getting right now when it's not good? And you're in this situation, Dabo, because you don't go to the transfer portal. It's not, your team is not too far away from being as good or better than Florida State, with just a few players here and there, which you could have gotten in the transfer portal had you decided not to go that route.
Hey, let me ask you this. Watch this.
People don't want to appreciate it.
Did Dabo get caught up in the hype of a backup quarterback? Because Lele is wearing it out at Oregon State. I mean, the guy looks like who we thought he was at Oregon State. Did they get caught up last year in what we're caught up a little bit in, not totally using him according to his skill set? And the backup came in and looked good, and now you lost the starting quarterback that could have been a difference maker because the quarterback there is not playing great football.
No, he's not. And I get really get tired of this idea that fans are entitled, and because my definition of entitlement is, okay, my parents buy me a $10,000 car, we're struggling, but they managed to buy me a $10,000 car. But I'm upset because I wanted a $20,000 car that was more expensive because it looked better. Now, my parents don't owe me the $10,000 car, but I'm mad because they didn't give me the $20,000 car. That's entitlement. Expecting more when you not appreciating what you have when you weren't even entitled to what you got. But these fans are entitled to a decent football team, and then Dabo should be giving it to them. I mean, that's what I'm entitled, but they're expecting it because hey, you can do it. The team can't be that good if you would change. So no, that's not the fans being over entitled. That guy who talked to Dabo was outrageous, was an obnoxious idiot. And I'm sure he set Dabo off. I listened to him. This is a conversation. The guy was an obnoxious idiot. He's talking about his salary and quoting Bible verses and all that nonsense.
Yeah.
But that was what he said, towards other fans who worked on that phone.
Yeah. Great call, Robert. Appreciate you, man. Right, have a good one. As we go to break here, Bam Bam 72 says, Bama just needs to take care of business and control what they can control. I know for fans it makes for great discussion on what if. The team just can't get caught up in all the playoff talk. Well, here's the thing. All our playoff talk won't matter if they don't take care of business on Saturday. Take care of business on Saturday, things still have a chance, and they still have a chance to get in. It's just a little different path than what Alabama has had to take in the past. We'll keep the conversation going. We'll get Pat in. I do have a couple of highlights I want to show you. If we don't get to them, hey, we'll just kick them to tomorrow. We appreciate all that you do. Remember that Alabama One hotline is open for business, 205-342-9904. Let me hear from you. Put your thoughts, comments, and reactions in the chat, and we'll bring it into the conversation.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on this first day of November. It's Wednesday. Do drive carefully. And, of course, if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. A brand new month means brand new deals and tremendous instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
This Alabama football season, join Kerry Clark, Mark McGriff, and Matt Coulter for the most comprehensive postgame coverage of the Crimson Tide. The Tide Postgame Show, live from Walk-On Sports Bistro. Walk-Ons, 675 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa. Scratch-made dishes, wall-to-wall TVs, burgers, bone-in wings, salads, and gumbo. The Tide 100.9 and 95.3 The Bear Tide Postgame Show will be live after every Bama football game. Catch Coach Saban's postgame press conference and the Walk-Ons keys to the game. Plus, we'll take your phone calls live. Walk-On Sports Bistro for the win. 675 Skyland Boulevard, Tuscaloosa, and online at walkons.com.
What's for dinner? Burgers?
After last week, no thanks.
Avoiding foods due to fear of diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools? It may not be just stomach issues. It could be EPI, or exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. EPI can cause uncomfortable symptoms because it's a condition where the pancreas doesn't release enough digestive enzymes to break down food. But EPI can be managed. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor about your symptoms. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Lord, I'm craving some real Cajun food, but there's nowhere to go in T-Town.
Man, you don't know about Weedat's? New Orleans style Cajun chicken, shrimp, and that Weedat fish. It's now open at University Town Center, just steps from the Strip.
I'm on my way to Weedat's now. It sounds delicious.
It really is. Weedat's has Cajun style fish, chicken tenders, shrimp, and is home of the Wassam wings, buffalo and lemon pepper flavored. Don't forget, Weedat's has amazing fries served with every order. Get your fries topped with bacon, cheese, jalapenos, ranch, or even fully loaded. Only at Weedat's, open Monday through Saturday.
Team, it's snowing again tomorrow. They're predicting 2 to 3 feet.
'Tis the overtime season for Frank Snowplows.
Kelly, can you take another shift?
Let it snow. Quality driver applicants.
Hey guys, know anybody else with a D license?
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
O'Reilly. Protect your engine better with Syntec Full Synthetic High Mileage Motor Oil. Only at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Syntec High Mileage is formulated for today's engines with over 75,000 miles. Now get 5 quarts of Syntec High Mileage and a MicroGuard Select oil filter for just $34.99. Limits apply. Visit O'Reilly Auto Parts for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. It's time for the Martin Houston Show. With the same hard-hitting, no-nonsense approach in which he played the game, Martin will take you inside the locker room, down on the field, and across the goal line with his in-depth analysis.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier. Hey, go check out Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Wing Wednesday, 50-cent wings. Also, go ahead and get your order in for your game day special platters, 3 different sizes to meet your needs based on the size of your party. Go check them out, Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Billy and his team will be there waiting to serve you. 3702 Alabama Avenue Northeast, just across from the old Holt High School, opening at 11 a.m. Wednesday through Sunday. 205-632-8617. That's Billy's Cooking Restaurant. Check them out on Facebook under that same name. All right. MHS 0407 says Bama's schedule has hurt them in the last 2 years. A lot of tough road games last year. And this year, Bama scheduled 8 of the top 30 teams in the country. Bottom line, and I believe this, there is Bama fatigue by the college football playoffs. So, Pat, you're in. You had something you want to talk about. You're on the Alabama Winter Hotline with Martin and Xavier. Path to the college football playoffs. What's up?
Yeah, man. Washington has, it looks like, the ability possibly to win out.
No, I think Washington gets beat this week, Pat. They should have lost, could have lost the last 2 games. Since the Oregon game, they have been average. Huh?
They still got Oregon State on their schedule?
I'm not sure about what's after this week.
Yeah, Oregon State. Oregon State's there. The Civil War is the last game of the season for them. And then as a state, they have USC this weekend.
Yeah, and they got Utah to play too. But, Utah had a hiccup, but Utah's still a pretty good football team. And I mean, I see that the only thing Alabama's got to do is win. But I think Alabama, besides win, I think we also need some style points. Do you guys not agree that winning in at the defense, scoring touchdowns would also be a big help, that they can see that Alabama is the best team in the nation?
Yeah, I think there's a level of style point that Alabama has to have, but I don't think it has to be 40-point wins. I think it has to be, if we get in the 30s and we keep teams, another high-powered offense like LSU, if we hold them to a season low or something along those lines and don't have to get into shit, that's style points to me. It might not be style points to everybody, but
No,
I think that's something that can
there's
happen.
two ways to get style points. And most style points today are given when people say style points, Pat, they're talking about an offensive explosion. So it'd be great if Alabama were to go out and get 35, 40 points. To me, that'd be great and it would look good. But in a committee room, I would break that down and say, well, everybody does that on their offense. So the way to get style points this week, in my opinion, is to shut down, limit, slow down, and play dominant defense. I think if Alabama knocks Jayden Daniels down a lot and knocks them off of their offensive explosion, and you stop the top offense, now they start talking about, hey, this is the best defense in the country. They start, and I'm talking about committee, and then they start looking back and going, where have the champions ranked in the college football playoffs? Has it been the offensive team or the defensive team that has won the championships? You go back and look, other than LSU and Burroughs, I think every team that has won a championship has had an accompanying defense. So I think style points this way comes, if you keep LSU in the low 20s, I think you still get style points with that type of win, especially if it comes across dominant. If it comes across dominant like we did Tennessee last week.
Got you. So that second half of Tennessee, we put forth two halves like that against LSU, and you're going to see us move up some.
The most important thing for us to do, Pat, is to start off like we did against Tennessee. I don't think we will win this game if we start the game the way we have done most games. Offense has to be on in the first half, because if it's not, if you go 3 and out 2 or 3 times, that means that you're probably going to give LSU a short field, which opens up their entire playbook. So to me, because if we get to halftime, and Kevin Steele and whoever else he has helping him behind the scenes, their ability to adjust to what that team has done in the first half is as good as any defense that Alabama has ever put on the field under Nick Saban. I'm talking about, you go back and look at the second half defense. If you were to extrapolate that into a full game, our defense is giving up probably 10 points a game. Maybe. So that's what we need. Thanks, Pat.
All right. Thank y'all. Have a blessed day, guys. Bye-bye.
All right. Philip, you're in with Alabama. I mean, you're in with Martin and Xavier on the Alabama One hotline. What's on your mind, sir?
Yes, sir. Hey, Martin, all I wanted to say was, as far as the polls and where Alabama stands and all that, I think the South Florida win, the way that game unfolded and the way it ended up, and the sort of a terrible performance that Alabama had, I think that weighed Alabama down way worse than that Texas loss. Because if I recall, Alabama fell a few spots after the Texas game, but after the South Florida loss, didn't Alabama fall like 8 or 9 spots? After the South Florida win. See, it feels like a loss, but it was a win.
Yeah, we dropped. We're still. I don't know that it hurt us in terms of the committee per se, Philip, but I do think it hurt us in terms of the committee, and let me explain it. The committee I don't think they sat around and said, well, Alabama struggled against USF, because all the coaches would have been like, hey, guys, listen, they played 2 backup quarterbacks who played horrible. They were getting their things together. So let's just make that a wash. The problem was, to your point, that put us outside of the top 10. And
Exactly.
and so now the committee has seen us as a lesser team. So we're having to jump. Had we dominated USF, we would have still been in front of Oregon. Like, we'd probably be sitting at number 6 if the Florida, the Texas game. You see what I'm saying? We would have had more love because we fell so far. Like, after we may would have jumped in front of Texas when they lost to Oklahoma, had we not, looked horrible because of what we've done since we've gotten our quarterback and our defense is playing better. But to your point, I think it hurt us in that sense. Exactly.
And you enunciated it a lot better than I did, but that was the point I was trying to make. I just thought it was a terrible miscalculation on our part to do what we did. I wish I hadn't have done it, but
yep.
I don't guess we'll ever know what happened with the Milroe thing, the real deal there, but it hurt us.
Yeah, but it really could have cost us more than we know, even though we may win out.
I hope we get to see. Do you think, Martin, we'll see more of a wrinkle with Kendrick Law this weekend?
I'll let X respond to that.
All right.
Yes, I do. I think we're going to see him in a role that I feel like he could have been in since he arrived on campus, and that is how South Carolina and San Francisco have used Deebo Samuels. And I say Deebo because he's a little bit of a thicker build of a wide receiver. You could say Percy Harvin, any type Tavon Austin, any of those type wide receivers that have a little bit of a running background and things of that nature. But I really do believe he'll be in a Deebo role throughout the rest of this season going into next year.
I hope you're right. Wish we could get off the duff and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Phil. Appreciate that insight, sir. Have a good one. All right. Hey, let's go ahead and get the break here. Coming back, we'll have just a few more minutes of conversation. Then we'll bring in Scotty Hollins as we near the top of the hour to have the Harvest Church Christian Moment of the Week.
Tide 100.9 traffic.
From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on this first day of November. It's Wednesday. You drive carefully, and of course, if you see conditions, give me a call, 205-886-8886. A brand new month means brand new deals and tremendous instant savings for you at Townsend Nissan. I'm Captain Ray.
Here's what's trending on the Tuscaloosa thread.
Good Wednesday morning. The new safety precautions put into effect on the Strip west of the UA campus for home football weekends has proven to be effective. GPD Major Kip Hart tells reporters arrest and traffic congestion is down from last year. They've also had fewer firearms incidents and confrontations on the Strip. Click TuscaloosaThread.com throughout the day. It's absolutely free for local news, sports, and weather coverage. I'm Don Hartley. Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
Coming up on The Game with Ryan Fowler.
Coming up on the Wednesday edition of The Game, we'll feature Josh from collegefootballnerds.com, collegefootballnerds.com. We'll also go and talk with Dave Schultz down in Louisiana. We'll get you ready for Alabama and LSU. Nick Saban press conference following practice. We'll carry that live here on The Game starting at 2 o'clock on Tide 100.9, 1230 WTBC.
The longest running sports program in Tuscaloosa. The Game with Ryan Fowler. Weekdays from 2 to 6 p.m. on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
'Tis almost the season. Get head-to-toe holiday ready at JCPenney. Whether you're in party mode, out and about, or hanging out at home, we've got the style to get your family in the spirit, all in one place. Like the dress that makes every guest list, or that cute outfit that fits perfectly in Santa's lap. Don't forget the matching PJs, a festive weekend tradition. Your favorite brands are ready to mingle and be merry all season long. Looks that wow, all priced to impress. Make your holidays count. JCPenney.
At Academy Sports and Outdoors, we carry all the gear you need from the top brands, all at prices you'll love. And now, shopping at Academy is more convenient than ever. We offer free assembly on in-store purchases of most bikes and grills, plus free and easy curbside pickup on academy.com orders. Want to save even more every day? Open and use an Academy Sports and Outdoors credit card to get 5% off future purchases when you're approved. Save time and money at Academy Sports and Outdoors, and have fun out there.
Hi, Barry Buckner. Welcome to Tuscaloosa Hyundai. Anything I can do to help you? Not the most exciting way to begin a radio commercial, but anytime we have you as a customer in our showroom, that meet and greet is everyone's job. From dealer principal to each member of our team. Your first impression of how much Tuscaloosa Hyundai values you as a customer is everything. No matter what, the customer is the driver. And until you tell me where we're going, for example, shopping for a vehicle to better handle a growing family, you tell me, and together we will accomplish the mission. Our 5-star customer reviews confirm we are good listeners. So you tell me, where do you need to go today? A new Hyundai, a quality pre-owned vehicle with our exclusive 1,000,000-mile warranty? We're extremely grateful to be named the best of the best in our community. If you want to pay more, that's your business. If you want to save, that's our business. Tuscaloosa Hyundai, corner of Skyland and Hargrove, TuscaloosaHyundai.com.
The sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. The Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show with Martin and Xavier, powered by MaX Sports. I want to set up something real quick. We're not going to get to dig into this a lot, but this kind of helps inside the playbook. Want to see more and want to see less. All three of these are going to be covered in this little short clip of plays. For those of you who are on the radio, I'll kind of set it up for you. Those who are listening on video, you'll be able to watch it. But there's a 4-play series. Bryce Young hits Latu, boom, down in the 35. Then we give it to Gibbs, nice run, gets us down to about the 15. Then we come back to Jace, and Jace gets us inside the 5. And then the 4th play is an interception in the end zone, and Bill O'Brien strikes again. So we want to see more of the tight end. We want to see more of the run like Gibbs and Jace had, and we want to see less of throwing it inside the 5 automatically. So here's those plays, and let me know what you think here. We'll talk about it.
Going to throw again, pats the ball, and finally finds that man Latu, the tight end, over the middle, and he's inside the 35. Gibbs, first running play of the night, and the speedy transfer from Georgia Tech is loose, and he's down near the 15. Man, does he cut quickly. McClellan following some blockers, weaving his way and fighting down inside the 5.
Now right there, he's inside the 5. He's inside the 5. First down and goal.
Be first and goal. Young steps up from the pocket and delivers a late throw into the end zone. Bad decision. Intercepted. Jarek Burnett.
All right. Right there, X, as you look at that series of plays. That's at least 3 points off the board. That's at least 3. That was second and goal, but we were inside. We did very little on first, but it was still second and goal. It's the start of the game. Want to see a lot more of Latu the tight end and the running back. Both running plays were off to the left outside and off to the right outside, not right up the middle. Your thoughts there before we get ready to get out of here?
Bill O'Brien. That's all I have to say. Now, don't get me wrong. It was a bad decision by Bryce to throw it that late, but it is just one of those things when it comes down to it. Run the ball. You're inside the 5. Run the football.
And the reason
you did the same thing against Texas A&M the year before. just it's
Yep.
frustrating.
And the reason I
What?
point that out is, and we'll talk about this more tomorrow, I want to see more. I want to see less. I want to look inside the playbook of what Alabama can do. We'll use this clip and a couple other clips to kind of set the stage for that conversation on tomorrow, because at this point, Alabama could have been up at least 3-0. And then later on, we saw a fumble as the half was ending where we were inside field goal range. So we left at least 6 points on the board, if not 10, through turnovers. And of course, we know that we ended up in overtime. So either one of those is a difference maker, and Alabama wins that game. We have a feeling that they dominated us, not quite the way we remember it. Alabama still should have won that game despite playing a poor first half and leaving points on the board. We'll be transitioning right now. Thanks, X. I know you need to get out of here. Take care of those kiddos. Love you, and we'll talk to you later. Let's bring in Scotty Hollins, Executive Director of Blueprint Ministries. Scotty, welcome into the program. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well. I always enjoy joining you on Wednesday morning, so doing great.
Definitely appreciate you being a part. We're talking, of course, in our series with you, Strength Through the Storm. I'm actually transitioning into a series that kind of takes that same vibe, and of course, leading up to Thanksgiving, of how good God is, and that we can be thankful that He never leaves us nor forsakes us. So I'll talk to you to encourage us on how we can incorporate our faith into the boardroom, the classroom, or our chosen field of play, sir.
Awesome, man. So we just continuing that series, Strength Through the Storm. Had a few quotes that we talked about. One is, hey, we're not products of our circumstances, but products of our choices. We also talked about the fact that the most important thing about you is what you believe about God, because that becomes the lens through which you see all of life. And so we've looked at several passages. One I want to remind you guys of is Philippians 4:13, a very popular passage, and where it says, I can do all things through Christ. That's Paul speaking. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. We looked at the foundation of that passage, which was him saying, hey, he's had times, like this is the backstory a little bit, just, hey, I've had times where I've had more than I needed. I've had times where I haven't had enough. But he said he learned the secret of contentment, whether well-fed or hungry, whether having more than he needed or not enough. And he says that secret was he could do all things through Christ who strengthened him. And again, just a reminder, what he was saying, his emphasis was on the fact that he does not get his strength from his circumstances, because circumstances are ever changing. And he's saying he's learned a secret, not that no one else can know, but most people just hadn't figured out. And that secret is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens him. So what he was saying was he gets his strength from his Savior. And not from his circumstances, because his circumstances are ever changing. His Savior is never changing. I want to give you a brief glimpse of that in action, because it sounds good, right, Mark? You know, like, hey, it's easier said than done, right?
Absolutely.
And so it's a story we've looked at in the past, but we'll revisit it today. It's a story where Paul starts his day. You talk about a roller coaster day. What he talks about in Philippians 4:13 or 12 and 13 is the roller coaster of circumstances that we face throughout our lives. And the question is, how do you respond to them? I think Paul was able to accomplish so much because he got his strength from his Savior. So he wasn't up and he wasn't down. He was focused on Christ and focused on glorifying him and focused on the mission that he was called to, and empowered by the one who gave him the mission. And so you look at Acts chapter 14, and Paul starts the day off, and I'm gonna have to be brief with this, but he starts the day off, and he actually heals a guy. A guy was crippled, and Paul heals him. And so at that time, the people started worshiping him. Literally, you talk about a high or an up, an up and down. Just listen to his day. He starts off the day having done something, God had used him to do something amazing, a miracle really. And the people decide to worship him, literally call him a god. They called his the person who was with him, they called him Zeus, and they called Paul Hermes. And they were like, yeah, let's praise him and worship him. All right, that's the way his day starts, Martin. Is that a good start?
A good day.
And so he starts off, he's being worshiped. Well, he's like, no, guys, no way. Don't worship me. God gave me the power to do this. You worship him alone. I'm just a vessel. Well, before the day's out, some people actually rally the very same people who are worshiping him. They rally those people to actually stone him, Martin. The day starts out, he's being worshiped, and he has to refuse to worship. Like, no, don't do this. Worship God alone. And then that same group of people ends up stoning him. Does that sound familiar?
Absolutely.
Hosanna, Hosanna, then they crucified him, right? So, but again, we can all be, have that experience, that super high and then that super low. But do you know how he responds? We'll get there. We'll get there next week. So we'll pick up there next week. I hear the music, but I want you to see how he really applied. He could do all things through Christ who strengthened him. Yes. And how it impacted his response. And we'll look at that next week.
And I think that's such a key point, Scotty, is that he had a consistent, I call it the North Star. Jesus was his North Star, and he knew that if he aligned there, that his response would be in line with what God would want, and he would be right. Tell them where they can find you, sir.
Absolutely. You can go to www.blueprinttuscaloosa.com. You can send me a message there. It comes straight to me.
All right. Thanks. That's Scotty Hollins, Executive Director, Blueprint Ministries. We'll catch him on next week as he picked back up on Strength Through the Storm. Thanks, everybody. And we appreciate you being a part of the show. I'm Martin Houston. That's Xavier Houston, Scotty Hollins, Noah Haynes. We all appreciate you. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your paths. Roll Tide out there, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow.
Pressure again. It's picked up. This time and Gibbs catches the ball.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. Tide 100.9 traffic.